Minister of Mineral and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, says moving away from coal would have an impact on South Africa's economy. This was echoed by some of the African ministers at the African Oil Week and Green Energy Conference. We're now joined by the campaigner at Groundwork for coal, Thomas Mnguni, to get their perspective on what the direction of the country should be, or at least a contribution in terms of the way forward. Thank you very much for availing yourself and for your patience with us. Perhaps let's start with the position of Groundwork.
Thanks. I think Groundwork has made it clear for a very long time that we need to move away from coal, and this is due to the overall impacts of coal, both on humans and also on the environment. We know by now that coal is very destructive, and we've seen how people, especially living in Mpumalanga, have faced severe water shortages, not because there's no water, but because the water has been contaminated because of mining, and therefore people cannot use or drink that water. We also know that through the emissions during the operations up until coal combustion, we know that the smoke and dust that people are exposed to leads to them being normally sick, and they end up being trapped in an area where they cannot move, but they know the area is not good for their health. So based on all that level of destruction, we've always said we need to phase out coal and look into alternative development models that speaks to both the health of the people but also sustainable economic development.
Sure. So for Groundwork, mainly it's about people who are near these mining sites, and you're concerned about their health. Have you done an assessment in terms of the cost of this transition?
Look, it might be difficult to say how much it will cost us right now, but we know that moving away from coal will affect a lot of people, because we not only have to look into the formal corporate world, but we also need to bring on board the informal sector that thrives a lot, especially within our townships. So I would say, if the transition is not done properly, then I think we will see a lot of casualties. So what is important for us is to understand the impact it will have both on the formal and informal economy of the different towns within Mpumalanga.
What have the people of Mpumalanga told Groundwork, especially some of those who may be employed by the mines? While that employment is not far and wide, but what has been the level of engagement with people on the ground? What do they want to see? Do they understand what is going on, and what do they want to see?
Well, I would say, because Groundwork normally engages with some of the workers, and we are also working with the NALEDI, which is the Research Institute of COSATU. So in some of these meetings, I think there's a big fear, and I think which is basically very justified. People are afraid to lose their jobs, because for them right now, mining equals to them earning a livelihood. It equals a job. And we don't have a clear commitment, especially from government, as to if we phase out coal, then what kind of other alternative jobs will be created in the market? How will we support workers and community people to continue earning a livelihood? So until such time that there's a clear message and clear commitment from government to say we will move out, and these are the alternative job sectors that will be developed when we phase out coal, I think we will be facing a little bit of resistance here and there, but I would say that is understandable, because we all want guarantees. We cannot just say phase out coal and then all of a sudden we know that there will be a huge impact, both in terms of the economy but on people's livelihoods. So I think what is important is for us to develop clear pathways which will be inclusive of workers and community people, so that whatever decision is taken at the end of the day, they have a strong influence on how we phase out coal.
In the absence of a coherent agenda, I guess, where this is concerned, this move from coal, you have noted that Groundwork is concerned about the health of people on the ground, and it gets complicated because people are saying, well, we get employed by this. There's also some sectors of society that believe that we shouldn't rush as a country to phase out coal and rush into renewable because, again, the detail perhaps is not as ironed out. Is there a way maybe that the two can coexist, right? While people are still getting employed, maybe they can be relocated to areas that are safer to be inhabited?
I don't know if I would say there's a safe area, and because look, the air has no boundaries. It moves as it pleases, and I think we've seen recently with the smell that was picked up in Joburg and Pretoria, and that was mainly because of the emissions coming from Mpumalanga and specifically Sasol. So I wouldn't say there's a so-called safe area in terms of how the air moves. But I think what is very important is to look into what is happening around the processes towards a just transition. And we have seen, I think, over the past year or two, President Cyril Ramaphosa has established the Climate Change Commission, which basically looks into developing a framework to move away from coal. I think what is important is for us to ensure that the processes to phase out coal is well inclusive, and we get a clear commitment from government, not the mixed messages that we are getting now. On one hand, the president says, I've got a commission and then we need to phase out coal. And then on the other hand, we are seated with the Mineral Resources and Energy Minister saying we need to keep coal. Even though I would say for people living in Mpumalanga, I think they will tell you that a transition is happening as we speak, and it's very problematic because it's going to leave a lot of casualties. And for one, we know that Komati Power Station will be closed. We know that some of the units like plants like Grootvlei are being closed, and this is not because of health issues, but it's because most of the plants are old and therefore they need to be replaced or shut down because they're no longer functioning productively or effectively. So I think for me what is important is we need to start now, because we know that already people are losing their jobs, people are losing their livelihoods, and we cannot have those mixed messages, especially from government, saying we'll keep this going, but we know already that some of the power plants are being closed.
Thank you very much to Mr. Thomas Mnguni, coal campaigner at Groundwork.